Yes, you've seen it. We are still talking about the incredible women, and we've got one in the studio right now to talk about this next topic. Now, from the resilience and the courage of the suffrages to the more recent Me Too and hashtag Time's Up moments, sisterhood has been at the heart of the campaign for equal rights for women since the beginning. And today, we are commemorating a very historic moment in which we saw the sisterhood being used to secure equality.
Yeah, and we can track this narrative throughout history, but I think it is more important now than it ever has been. On this National Women's Day, we are asking, what is the importance of sisterhood in our society? And clinical psychologist and good sister to the show, Asha Dullabh, is here to help us unpack this just a little bit, and we'd love to take any of your comments and questions. We might head over to our social media pages in just a moment. Asha, happy Women's Day. Thanks so much for giving up your day off to be here with us. Yeah, to hopefully connect with your sisters. We love the idea of the notion of men supporting women through the toughest times, but ultimately there needs to be a sense of self-belief and support from women, which often isn't the case. Yeah. Why would women not support each other? What are the challenges facing the sisterhood?
So a woman that struggles with another woman is actually a woman that's struggling with herself. I think that women tend to maybe go about life cataloguing women's gifts and talents, and they then go into a place or a mindset of lack of or scarcity, like I don't have enough, there's not enough to go around, and there is enough. And every woman has their own unique purpose, their own unique path, and they need to sort of embrace their uniqueness and see the uniqueness in other women as well, because there is enough. We don't have to come from a place of lack of in any way, but we are from a young age raised to try and keep the playing field level. Yeah. And then we realize as young women going into adulthood that it's not always the case. And that's where the challenges come up. So we are in this a bit of a hamster wheel.
Well, maybe historically, if you can look at the reason behind this, why is it that we potentially see these situations where it's not necessarily an environment in the community that's nurturing the talent, but it seems to come across as more of a competition than anything else? Is there a reason for that being asserted? Is there a feeling or something initiating that? Or is it just something that's happened?
Yeah, I think it goes right back to little girls playing with each other, you know, with their Barbie dolls. And it's our education system. It also teaches competition. It's our beauty pageants. It's social media in today's time. So, but we are evolving from that. I think that we are, as women, moving away from just the stereotyped, you know, behaviors of women, because basically a lot of competition or comparison comes from women comparing women in their stereotypical gender roles. You know, how do you run your house? How do you raise your kids? How do you work? And those are gender-based gender roles that are just stereotyped. And it's important now as women that we reverse that stereotype thinking of judging women in that way, and really just honor women for our role in society and in the world. Because when we can support women, we're supporting a nation, we're supporting a world.
Completely, and we're more of a global village now than we ever have been before, and thankfully we are now more than ever casting a light on what women are doing, not just in South Africa, but globally, to change the course. And we're going to continue to talk about the importance of sisterhood in our society. Asha is going to stick around with us, so don't stray too far.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Asha is here. It's a Monday and we are talking relationships. And on this National Women's Day, we are asking, what is the importance of sisterhood in our society? And we are back with our clinical psychologist and sister, Asha Dullabh, to unpack this topic. And we'd love for you to weigh in if you've got any comments or questions. Obviously, we have a Women's Day inspired platform on all of our social medias, so please get there and do that. Asha, thank you for continuing this conversation. And again, happy Women's Day.
Thank you.
And you look gorgeous, I have to just say, at the start of all of this. And that's why you're my sister. But let's talk about sisterhood, Asha. Would you say that sisterhood, in the traditional sense that we understand it to be, still exists in modern day living, or is that dead?
I think it's really about what we women put out and seek. You know, if we are going to continue saying that we are not being supported by other women, that's what we are going to get. So if we can speak more from the narrative that there is support, that there is encouragement for each other, and we are honoring that, we're going to receive that more in our lives, because I think that we need to look to inspire each other. And when we seek that, naturally it will come back to us. I find that many women will even go onto social media, and what they look at will have an impact on themselves, on their own self-esteem, their self-confidence, because generally women feel insecure, and then we go into this comparative mode where we judge and we compare, and we need to really just take a step back and think about what do we want to attract in our lives.
But also just be aware that social media, especially something like Instagram, where most of the, I would imagine, the pinnacle mommies live and exist, and the women that present to the world, that's one lens.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
5%
absolutely.
of reality that has been very much crafted. So don't go and self-judge after you've looked at any kind of social media platform. But it's one thing in sentiment, it's another thing in action. Why is it so important for women to uplift other women in what they do? Don't just talk about inspiring women, but create the job opportunity, give them the leg up. Why is it important for that upliftment to happen?
Because, you know, I think as women, we self-shrink ourselves, so we need to, it's about self-expansion. When we can expand and shine in our own light as women, we allow other women to shine in their light. And also we experience a great sense of joy when we are able to uplift and support another human being, whether it's a woman or a child or a man. And then they also experience, it's like a mirror effect that we have with each other when we transact with another woman. We need to build, as I said, women so that it expands to a universal nation where there's just a flow of compassion and empathy and understanding and acceptance for each other. So a great woman, you know, serves a family, serves a nation. It's the start and the root of protection, of nurturing, of resilience, of bravery, of courage, all the beautiful characteristics that women have.
Yeah, and I often think in business we need more of the feminine energy now, you know, especially in our own life cycle. Yeah.
And what you're speaking about has become so necessary, especially in a society, what seems like a society that tries to diminish the power of women, right? It then becomes very, very important for women to band together in society, right?
Yes. I think, you know, so often a woman can look at other women and look at the labels or the kind of identity that a woman has. They're a wife, they're a CEO. But what about looking for the woman for who they are as a complete human being? Because that's where they will be inspired. And we want women to feel inspired by another woman. But we get distracted by all the labels and not actually see who is this woman beyond all her labels that we put out there. Because there's so much more as that complete human being. Because as human beings, we are holy beings, we are sacred beings. And that is why we need to support each other.
I want to leave this with you as we take a quick break from the conversation. Is there a place for that feminine energy? You know, we certainly see it in business, women striving to achieve a certain level, but they have to act like a man to get there. What is the role of women in business in our society at the moment? We are continuing to talk about sisterhood at the moment, the importance of a sisterhood so that women can elevate other women, and we are celebrating South Africa's National Women's Day today. So if you are a woman, we thank you, and we are putting you on a pedestal every day, not just today, but we really are recognizing the efforts of South Africa's incredible women, not just at the highest political level, but on every level that have allowed this country to get to where we are. But stick around, we're going to continue this conversation with Asha in a moment.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are still with your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso. It's Monday, so we're talking relationships. And on this National Women's Day, we're asking this question: what is the importance of sisterhood in our society today? And we're back with clinical psychologist Asha Dullabh to unpack this topic. So do weigh in with your questions, your comments on our Facebook page. We do love hearing from you. That's Expresso Morning Show SABC3. Thanks for staying with us, Asha.
There was a lot of history, I don't want to say baggage, tied into this conversation, but it is. And it's stuff that we need to continually look at, especially now when we create a platform for the next generation of young women to feel empowered, whether it's on a political or an economical or even just on a personal level to be able to progress themselves. But as we reflect on the courage, I can't even wrap my head around what it would have taken the woman in 1956 to march on the Union buildings. How do we capture that spirit today? Is what we've seen with obviously horrendous acts of violence against women in this country, there's been this pushback, this knee-jerk reaction of seeing solidarity within women. How do we foster that? How do we get that without the terrible things happening to prompt it?
You know, when you speak about that, Graham, I think about the collective energy of that mass of women that came together. And, you know, a single woman has power, but women together have impact. So when we support and, you know, pick up on all of those characteristics of courage, of bravery, of those women that fought for liberation, for freedom, this is what we need to, you know, grasp at and expand on as we go through, you know, into the years with women and embrace each other, celebrate women for all that they are.
I'm looking at you here, and sorry, I'm judging you, looking at you, and I'm going to say it, because you obviously are really impressive at what you do.
Yes.
You are very confident, and you obviously have your own intellectual kind of might to rely on and to fall back on. Do you feel empowered?
Of course I do, yes.
Sorry, carry on. Please. Yes.
Because I think it's very important to be inspired by other women. So what is it that I do? I look and I seek out that inspiration from other women, and it naturally reflects back on me by you know, praising other women. Now is the time of celebrating, because everybody has their turn to come. You know, we all have our path, we all have our purpose, so celebrate each other.
Yeah.
Because your turn is coming, put it that way. But most often, there's a saying that goes, you know, most of your fans are strangers, rather than the people that are closest to you, and that speaks volumes. And a message should be the people that are closest to you should actually really, really see and value the individual that you are, the holistic being that you are.
But the bottom line is empowerment is important. And I think what we're taking away from this conversation is that empowerment is for all women. There isn't a very specific type of woman that must be empowered.
Yeah, on a socio-economic level, that's
level,
important.
absolutely. But in terms of commemoration, like what we've got here now, why is it so important to make sure that every woman is involved and included in the conversation of equality and of empowerment?
It's not only women, but it's our men and our children that we need to involve in these conversations, because it's for the greater, bigger, universal state of the world, of our nation, just to, you know, have women that, because women are the source of creation. And with that, I mean, they bring in beautiful children into the world, and with more education, with more conversations like these, we can raise a whole incomplete nation where there's much more compassion for each other, much more empathy, much more understanding, and of course, much more celebration for not only the human beings that we are, but for the holy, sacred beings that we are.
And boy, doesn't the country need a bit of nurturing, the world need a bit of nurturing. For me, it's that balance of strength, that resolute strength and compassion. How you can be soft and hard at the same time to such a degree is an amazing thing. So we celebrate you and the work that you're doing, and thank you so much for giving up your Women's Day morning to be with us this morning. And hopefully you've gleaned something from that discussion this morning about empowering your sisters. Yes, we can believe in you as much as you want, but you have to believe in yourself, and you have to be there to drive your sisters forward. You owe it, not to the sisters who have come before you, but to the girls that are coming next.